Hello and welcome to another edition of Sports, Cigars, and Coffee. I'm your host, Coach Dave, and we're going to be recapping week 2 of the NFL, previewing week 3, and finally, we have a decent week of college football coming up. So, today's cigar selection is a blackened M81 by Drew Estates. And yes, blackened, the Metallica song. This is a cigar that is in honor of Metallica, which was developed by James Hetfield himself, along with Drew Estates. It's a full-bodied cigar. Taste a little chocolate. Got a little coffee in there. Nice smooth taste. So I was really excited to get this one because Metallica is one of my favorite bands, and so I was really excited to try this one. I like it so far. So week 2 of the NFL is over. We had a giant comeback. We had the Cowboys again beating another New York team. Steelers behind 2 defensive touchdowns, along with painful offense, and hurt running backs. So that's what we're going to be touching on. First off, in Arizona, the New York Giants look dead to right at halftime. Credit that coaching staff to get him to come out in the second half and go figure. A Penn State back scores a touchdown in the straight T formation. Some people call it just the T formation. I call it the straight T formation. And the Giants come all the way back. And don't call me shocked. Jonathan Gannon, head football coach of the Arizona Cardinals, chokes a double-digit lead in Arizona. Call me shocked. The Giants improved to 1-1, and let's see how that springboards them. I had them as the 7th seed in the NFC playoffs, so let's see if that springboards them. Though they did lose Saquon. Looks like sprained ankle. We'll talk about that later. But kudos to the Giants for coming out in the second half, and you know, they could have just shrugged their shoulders and said, let's just get this over with and fly back. Well, actually, they're staying in Arizona until Wednesday because they're playing the 49ers Thursday in Santa Clara, California. They could have just easily said, heck with it, and move on. But they didn't. Daniel Jones played well in the second half. Offensive line was much improved. So kudos to the Giants for improving to 1-1. All 4 teams of the NFC East won. Like I said, the Cowboys beat the Jets, which how good are the Cowboys? I don't know. They're very good. I think, they got the best player in the NFL in Michael Parsons, not just on defense, on either side of the ball. Their defense right now is fast and flying to the ball. So we'll see as, once they play the 49ers, they got the 49ers, they got Seattle, they'll have the Eagles twice. So we'll see. And plus the AFC East, they play all AFC East teams as well. And then last night we had 2 Monday night games. We had the Saints defeating the Panthers 20-17, and then we had the Steelers winning 26-22. And no offense to Steeler fans, no offense to Cleveland Brown fans, but that offense last night set NFL back 120 years, and I don't even know if the NFL's been around for 120 years. I didn't know what I was watching. That first quarter, my eyes were bleeding. Like, I didn't know what was going on. I don't know what Pittsburgh's trying to do with Kenny Pickett. To me, they're trying to protect him, but they're not. I don't know. And then Cleveland, you have the Deshaun Watson. He's not good. I'm sorry. He's just not good. I mean, when's the last time you saw a quarterback get 2 face mask penalties called on them? Possibly, technically, to the NFL rules, should have been thrown out because he pushed a referee. So He's just not good. Cleveland, like again, both defenses were are solid. I wasn't expecting great offense, but I wasn't expecting pee wee football offense. And case in point was the Steelers were up and 26-22. They have a 3rd and 1, and they kind of did like a read option with Pickett running the ball. Now Pickett can run the ball. He's a good athlete. He could run the ball. I don't mind the play idea and the play concept, but what I don't like is the scheme of the play. And Matt Canada, to me, his seat is on fire because I don't know what he's trying to do. There's no creativity. There's no uh, there's no innovative plays. There's no nothing. With me, if I'm running a read option to the field side, I I don't motion the wide receiver away and then have the quarterback be a BYOB, be your own blocker. I would have rather seen Fryermuth come in motion and then kind of be like a lead block, and then use one of the running backs as a lead blocker and kind of run like a student body right. I didn't understand I don't know if the offensive line called the wrong block. I don't know, but I just didn't like he fakes it, and then now there's 2 Cleveland defenders standing right there in his face to take him down for a 2-yard loss. But yeah, Matt Canada is on the hot seat. I don't know um, if nothing improved because I think Kenny Pickett has the talent. I think Kenny Pickett is their quarterback, and I just don't know. I don't know about Matt Canada. I'm not one to run to fire coaches immediately, but this is a multiple year thing with the Steelers. But they come out with the win. They improved to 1-1. Uh, so we'll see. The Eagles won on Thursday. I know Eagles Twitter is nervous about the offensive coordinator and the passing game, but look, bottom line is 2-0. That's the most important stat. Um, when you're running for 259 yards, why throw the ball? Just keep running it down their throats. There's no need to run. There's no need to pass the ball. And it'll come. You heard Jason Kelsey say that the last 2 weeks the defenses have been doing some crazy, exotic things that they never saw, and they adjusted better against Minnesota than they did New England. So everyone just relax. Just relax. The Eagles are going to be fine. The Eagles are going to be fine. This week they have a Monday night game against Tampa Bay. So, I think we'll see kind of the same game where they'll get a lead, and then can they hold it? Can Baker figure out a way to navigate that defensive line? Because they treated Kirk Cousins like a pinata. And I give Kirk Cousins kudos. I know I joke and we make fun of Kirk Cousins, but he kept them in the game. He was getting hit almost every pass play. The defensive line was in his face every time. And the one turnover was his fault because there was a strip sack, but the other turnovers weren't his fault. I think the guy gets too much grief. But yeah, I give him credit. I tip my cat off to him because he took a pounding. Now, can the Eagles do that to Baker? Baker's playing well. He's dangerous. So, who knows? Maybe hopefully he won't wake up dangerous next Monday. So hopefully the Eagles get healthy. They had some guys banged up. They were missing 2 guys in the secondary, Bradbury with a concussion and Blankenship. Kenny Gainwell had rib injuries. So hopefully they can play, use the extra days for being 11 days off and going from a Thursday night to a Monday night. So last night, like I said, there was 2 Monday night games. Carolina and the Saints kicked off at an hour before the Steelers and the Browns. And at one point, ABC went to a split screen, and I wasn't a fan of that. I wasn't a fan of that. Now, if one of my teams isn't playing, like especially like I might use the multi-view for a little bit, just to get a sense on what game I can go hone in on and watch. I don't like multiple things on my screen. Uh, but what did you guys think? Did you guys like it? Did you guys, like that split screen on NFL Sunday Ticket or on YouTube with college football? Did you use that Thor multi-screen option? The only thing is, I wish you could pick the 4 games that go on there, but I don't like it for long term. Like I said, I'll use it just to see what game I should go hone in on, uh, if the Eagles aren't playing or Penn State. Drinking out of my Philadelphia Eagles coffee cup today. So we have the undefeated teams so far, 2-0, are the Eagles, Cowboys, 49ers, who are probably the 3 best teams in the NFC, the Ravens, Washington, the Saints, and Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa Bay and the Saints will probably be fighting for that division. And I have, like I said, the Saints I have at 9-8 coming out of that division. The Ravens was the Ravens are going to be good. I always have them pegged around 10 wins. We knew the 49ers were going to be good. We knew the Cowboys were going to be good. We knew the Eagles were going to be good. So Washington's a wild card. Can they keep this up with Sam Howell, the quarterback? Can they keep this up? They got the Eagles twice coming up in October, which is kind of weird that they're going to have the Eagles be done in October. And on the flip side, we have teams who are 0-2. The Bengals, which is a surprise. Unless Joe Burrow's hurt, then he can't be playing. The Cardinals, which isn't a surprise. The Panthers, which at this point isn't a surprise. The Texans, not really a surprise. I should add, the Dolphins are 2-0 as well. I forgot about the Dolphins, who won a tough game at New England Sunday night. The Bears 0-2, and the Patriots. The Patriots 0-2. They don't feel like they're 0-2 because they played against. They lost to the Eagles 25-20, and they lost to the Dolphins 17-10 or 24-17, whatever the score was. And they're playing tough. It's just a tough 0-2. I'm not worried about the Patriots. I think the Patriots are going to be okay. I think they're going to be around 9-10 wins still, and I think they're going to challenge for that last wild card spot. The Bears, I'm a little surprised at. I thought the Bears were going to be much better. They look their offense looks clueless out there. Claypool is just standing there with his thumbs up his ass, collecting his paycheck. Guys like that shouldn't get paid on Tuesdays. If your team's bad, but the guy's out there battling, okay. But I mean, just to stand there and do the lookout block or the Olay block. The Cardinals, they're tanking for Caleb Williams. There's no doubt about that. They're just tanking. I honestly think that, and as my brother pointed out, the general manager and owner yelled at the team for winning at halftime against the Giants. We joke about that. And the Bengals, though, man, not only are they 0-2, but their offense looks putrid. Is Joe Burrow, is he injured? He does not look right. The offense doesn't look right. They look out of sync. Now, granted, playing the Ravens will make you look out of sync, and playing the Browns, I think the Browns' defense is good. I don't think their offense is anything to write home about. But their 0-2 feels different than New England's 0-2. New England's 0-2 is, okay, we're okay. We played 2 of the better teams in the league, and we lost by 1 score in each game, and we had possession of the ball in the 4th quarter on the last drive to win it or tie it. Okay, because they really kept Miami in check on offense. Their defense did. Now the Bengals 0-2, it's like a head scratcher. It's like, really? Where are the Bengals 0-2? People are picking this team to go to the Super Bowl, which they still may. But each week, if you go to 0-2, 0-3, 1-4, those percentages of making the playoffs gets less and less and less. And these October games, though they're not, they're not huge, but they're the ones that might come back to haunt you. So as we look ahead to week 3, we had some prominent running back injuries this week. Saquon Barkley is going to miss about 3 weeks with a sprained ankle. We saw Nick Chubb last night. It was so gruesome that the TV wouldn't even show the replay. It reminded me of in 1994, opening night, Labor Day night in 1994, when San Francisco 49ers were playing I think they were the Oakland Raiders at that time, or Ken Norton Jr. tackled Napoleon Kaufman, running back for the Raiders, and Napoleon Kaufman's leg shattered and bent in 4 different ways. His toes were up in his face mask, but Ken Norton Jr., to his credit, knew not to move until the trainers got out there. That's what last night reminded me of. Though back then in 1994, they kept showing the replay over and over. I did see the replay online. Someone posted it on Twitter, and yeah, it was gruesome. His knee went one way, his foot went the other way, and his upper leg went. It was gruesome. If Nick Chubb only misses 1 year, he's lucky, because that looked like a career-ending injury for Chubb. So, and then we had Kenny Gainwell with the ribs. He was the running back 1 for the Eagles in week 1, but he hurt his ribs against the Patriots and didn't play on Thursday. So, a story came out yesterday that the NFLPA is telling running backs to fake injuries as a protest to not getting money. So what happened to the running backs? I remember, now I don't play fantasy football anymore because I believe that anybody over 45 shouldn't play fantasy football, or if they do, it should be just a friendly family one, nothing serious. But when I was in my 20s and 30s and played fantasy football, running backs were always the 1 or 2 pick. Now, it's a quarterback driven league. It's a pass happy league, and running backs' value has diminished. And I don't blame these guys like Saquon and Chubb and any of these guys that want more money. I don't blame them. I mean, I watched that Kelsey movie on Prime, and to see what a human being does from Monday to Saturday to get their body to play is astounding. And they do, and I know everybody says they don't deserve the money. They do, for what they do, and the risks they're taking down the future of their life with possible head injuries, lingering arthritis, lingering head trauma. So I truly believe that football players should get what they deserve. So I don't know, what are your thoughts on the running backs? Why are they devalued? Is it because you have them? Is it because the rookie deal is 4 or 5 years? So you have one guy for 4 years, let him go. Kind of like what the Eagles did. Miles Sanders put up a career year in 2022 with the Eagles. Eagles offered him a contract, and then he went to Carolina for more money. Good for him. Now the Eagles replaced him with Rashad Penny, who finally had some action on Thursday, and DeAndre Swift, and Kenny Gainwell, and Boston Scott. So is that the reasoning? Is because once the rookie deal is over and these running backs blossom, you move on? That was the one thing Bill Belichick was really good at in the 2000s, 2010, 2011. He knew when to get rid of guys. He got rid of guys when their value was still high, when it was ascending, not descending. Is that what's happening with running backs? Their 4 years, 5 years of rookie deal is up, and you let them go, and then you just draft another guy, free agent, make a trade, sign a free agent, undrafted free agent, and just plug him in. That's what it seems like to me. So I don't know. What are your thoughts? Go ahead and comment on that. Uh, but heading into week 3, we have the 4 games that I'm focusing on this week, besides the Eagles, of course, on Monday night. Uh, that the New England Jets game, which the Jets are another winless team that I didn't mention earlier. Uh, I have New England winning 17-12. The Jets defense did everything they could to keep them in the game. It was 18-10. It was 18-10, but the the Jets offense was no match for the Cowboys defense. So I like the uh, Patriots 17-12. Then we got the Saints and the Packers going up against this week. Uh, I like Green Bay to win a close one, 27-23. They lost a tough one against Atlanta. But I do like the Packers to win this week, 27-23. Like I said, the Saints are a decent team. They're good for their division, but I think the Packers should beat them 27-23. And another winless team that I forgot to mention earlier, the LA Chargers. I'm not used to it yet. Still call them San Diego 1,000 times a day. The LA Chargers and the Minnesota Vikings, another 0-2 team that I didn't mention earlier as well, uh, will be battling this week. And I do like the Chargers 31-28. Now, granted, I think Herbert's a good quarterback. I think their head coach Staley is an idiot. He does not know how to manage a clock. He doesn't know when to use his timeouts. He's just out there willy nilly. Like he's like a I don't know. He's just out like whatever. Timeout. Like last year, whether he had to end the game in a tie. Or was it 2 years ago? If he ended the game in a tie, he would have been in the playoffs and they would have knocked the Steelers out. He called a timeout. I don't get the guy, and I know there are a lot of Eagles fans that wanted him as a head coach a few years ago. So kind of glad we got the Paisan, um, Nick Sirianni, who's turned out to be a good hire so far. But yeah, I don't know what the Chargers coach. Is there a team that has lost in more bizarre ways than the Chargers over the last few years? And a lot of that, in my opinion, is on coaching. I think their coach is a dope. No, no, I'm not gonna lie. I think their coach is a dope. And the final game is we have a Super Bowl rematch. The Rams and Bengals. The Rams they had the 49ers on the ropes. I speaking of that, you gotta love Sean McVay. Great moments in betting history. 8.5 point underdogs. It's 30-20 with 4 seconds left. Kick the field goal. Lose 30-23. Backdoor cover. Gotta love it. You gotta love those moments in betting. Greatest moments in betting history. That has to rank right up there uh, with for covering the spread. So Sean McVay, kudos to you for making everyone happy who picked the Rams to cover the 8.5 point spread. I like the Rams to win this one, 24-23. And then it's going to be interesting. Are the Bengals done at 0-3? If the Bengals go down 0-3, are they done? The Jets were done as soon as the Achilles of Aaron Rodgers ruptured 2 weeks ago. Which I didn't even think the Jets were going to make the playoffs anyway with Aaron Rodgers. But their chances are done. The Vikings, do they trade Kirk Cousins, if they go 0-3 and then they're struggling near the deadline, do they trade Kirk Cousins to a team that's hovering near the playoffs that needs a quarterback like the Jets? Maybe the Jets defense pulls a Ravens type thing where they score touchdowns and they win games 10-9, they win games 14-13, and then the Jets are kind of near, and if they trade for Kirk Cousins for a rental for the end of the year, maybe. We'll see. We'll see. And we got the Eagles at Tampa Bay Monday night. I believe I believe, and I know there's two games. I don't know there's two games. The Eagles are the first game at 7:15 Eastern, and uh, so we'll see. I think the Eagles should win that game, but you never know. That's why they play the games. I think the Eagles are more talented, but we'll see. That's why they play the games. Now, college football is going to start getting interesting. You know, Deion Sanders' prime has made it interesting since he got hired in Colorado. Uh, I saw for a 10 o'clock Eastern kickoff game, 9.3 million people tuned into that game on ESPN. 9.3 million on a 10 o'clock Eastern game. In a game in which Colorado State should have won, but Colorado came back and won. It scored, tied it near the end of regulation, and then finally won it in double overtime. Uh, what can you say about Prime? He's using all these little things to motivate his team. He's picking something the other coach says or the fan base or something on TV, and he's using it to their advantage. If it works, God bless him. I hope he succeeds. I really do, because I think a lot of times you get a coach like that, kind of makes everyone reevaluate how they're doing things. So they're part of a big week this week, as they're taking on Oregon. Both teams 3-0. Oregon's 10 and Colorado's 19th in the rankings, for what it's worth. Oregon should win. I think they got more talent, they got more depth, but again, that's why you play the game. And can Prime squeeze out more than what he's getting? Because I think he's getting more out than what the talent is. And that's a good coach. And plus, they're missing Hunter for a couple weeks after he got cheap shotted by the safety from Colorado State. Colorado State was their own worst enemy. Undisciplined, stupid penalties, stupid coaching, just the dumb, unsportsmanlike conduct penalties. And to me, that's a reflection of coaching. That's a reflection of how things are run in meetings. Those things, to me, that's all. To me, that's coaching. During the week in the classroom, there was no discipline. Colorado State had no discipline, and a game they should have won by double digits, they end up losing, and that's their own fault. We have Oregon State and Washington State. Washington State's 21 against 14th ranked Oregon State. The end of the Pac-12, if you will. We have the big one, so to speak, is Ohio State and Notre Dame, 6 versus 9. So that game is going to be kicking off at prime time. On CBS prime time during the annual whiteout game, it's Penn State hosting Iowa. Penn State, again, should win. Hopefully they pound the living heck out of Iowa after their fake injuries allegations from a few years ago when they booed actual injured people. Because I don't know if you guys remember when I think Penn State was ranked 4th and Iowa was 5th. And Penn State had a 17-3 lead at halftime, but Sean Clifford got hurt. And the backup quarterback couldn't hold a lead. They only got one field goal, and they ended up losing 23-20. During the course of the game, when injuries happened on Penn State's defense, the Iowa crowd and coaching staff thought that Penn State was faking injuries. Now, why would a defense slow down Iowa when they move slower than molasses? And second, 2 of the guys who got hurt ended up missing the year because of their injuries. And one of the guys who was hurt was Jaquan Brisker, who was one of the better safeties in the country. And yeah, Penn State's going to tell one of their best players on defense, yeah, go ahead and fake an injury. So I hope Penn State pounds the living crap out of Iowa for that reason. Not that I do anyway. I wish, I love when my teams go up 35-0 at halftime. But I hope Penn State lays. I used to respect Kirk Ferentz in that program, but I don't. I hope they lose every game. I hope they. I don't care who they're playing. I don't care. I don't root for them in any out of conference matchups. So screw Iowa, and so hopefully Penn State could take care of business and just methodically move towards the two games that they need to split. Ohio State and Michigan. If they split, they'll be okay. And then the final game, which used to be a huge game, Florida State, who's ranked fourth, versus Clemson. Good old Barney Fife, Dabo Sweeney. What happened to Clemson? I'm going to tell you what happened to Clemson. Well, while the NIL deals were coming up and the transfer portal was coming up, Clemson never adjusted. What did Barney Fife say when he was doing his press conference? That God is their NIL deal. He doesn't go too much into transfer portal. If Clemson's going to get back to that top 5 ranking, being in the playoffs, they have to accept the NIL and they have to move forward with the transfer portal. We saw it. And that's what's going to happen with these programs, these outlier programs that are close to the playoffs, like Penn State, like in Oregon State. These teams that are 10-2, 11-1, but they get left out of the playoffs because they're not Alabama, they're not Georgia, they're not Ohio State. Those outlier teams that are ranked 7th, 8th, and 9th now could go to a recruit and say, look, the playoffs are expanding to 12 teams, so you're going to be in the playoffs. And look, we got these boosters lining up millions for you to get endorsement deals. Clemson has to get on board with that. If they don't, they're going to get left in the dust, and they're not going to be a good program again until Dabo Sweeney can adjust to that. And the one thing that was going to make this a level playing field was an expanded playoffs. I always felt when the playoffs came, it was 4 teams, and it was usually 3 of the teams were always Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia. Then you'd get your, Notre Dame made it one year, TCU. You get Washington made it 1 year. Ohio State has been in it, and the 1 year they shouldn't have been in it was 2016, because Penn State should have been in the playoffs, and you can't convince me that Ohio State should have went ahead of them, but I'll let that be. You guys could comment on that. But the thing that was going to level the playing field were teams like Penn State, teams like Oregon State, teams like that were ranked 8th, 9th, 10th. Now they could tell recruits, look, if we go 10-2, we're probably going to make the playoffs. If you're on our team, we might even win the conference and go undefeated. And then for sure we're in the playoffs. So I think that's gonna spread out the recruiting. So Alabama's not stockpiling, Ohio State's not getting the same recruits. So I think once we expand to 12, which is next year, I think with one recruiting cycle, I think you're going to start to see a level playing field. And we're already seeing it now. Because look how pedestrian Alabama has looked these first 2 weeks. Or first 3 weeks. They were on the ropes against Southern Florida. Let me repeat that. They were on the ropes against Southern Florida. Their offense looked putrid. Why? Because now they're not getting those elite talents. Their number 1 receiver is elite, the number 2 receiver is elite. But then the further you go on the depth chart, instead of having another 5-star recruit that you could plug in, that recruit now is going to Mississippi. That recruit now is going to Miami. That recruit now is going to Texas. So that's what I think. And Clemson, they're being left behind. If they're not going to get on board, Dabo, don't call me Barney Fife, he's not going to be coaching there long. So what are your thoughts on that? Do you think the NIL and the expansion of the playoffs is going to kind of spread some of the 5 4-star talents going to the different programs that aren't always in the top 4? What are your thoughts on that? We got our week 3 NFL coming up. Starts on Thursday with the Giants at the 49ers, which is ridiculous because I have a belief that the any game that kicks off 4 o'clock or 4:30, those teams should not be a Thursday night game. Now the Giants, they lucked out because they're playing in San Francisco, so they could just stay in Arizona. I think if you're a 4 o'clock team, you should not be playing at you should not be playing the Thursday night game. I don't like Thursday night games on a weekly basis. I could see having like maybe one or two to start the opening one at the Super Bowl champ one, and then maybe the next 2 weeks have one, and then wait till Thanksgiving and do a couple after Thanksgiving. I don't like the weekly Thursday night games, and that just means Al Michaels, who I think is one of the I never liked Al Michaels, but he was calling that game on Thursday night against with the Eagles, and as much uh, happiness as a 94-year-old woman who's constipated trying to poop on the toilet. The guy's senile. He has no clue what he's talking about. I never liked Al Michaels, and I'll say this. If it wasn't for his words, "Do you believe in miracles?" Al Michaels would be in Buzzards Brook, Wyoming right now reading the Farm Report because I don't think he's good. Honestly, I don't think he's good. I don't think he's good. Uh, I think the new Fox team, Kevin Burkhardt and Greg Olson, are the best. I have them ranked as the best. Uh, who are your favorite announcers? I know that the Giants' personal announcer, Mark Schlereth, is high on everybody's list, right? I used to like him, but not so much. So who do you like? Who are your announcers? Do you watch the game for the announcers? Do you care what the announcers say, or do you ignore them? If it's an Eagles game or a Penn State game, I pretty much ignore unless they're talking about something uh, that is important, like last night when Deshaun Watson fumbled on 4th down. Okay, I wanted to listen to what Joe Buck was trying to explain everything, but for the most part, I don't care who's announcing because there's not a lot of good ones. But like I said, Kevin Burkhardt and Greg Olson are good. Uh, Moose Johnson's past his prime. He still thinks he still thinks he's playing fullback with Dallas right now because he took one too many to the head. So what are you looking for in week 3? Uh, what are your predictions for week 3? What are you looking for in week 3 in the NFL? Do you think any of these teams that are winless can pull it together and actually make a playoff run? Like I said, I think the Patriots and Bengals are the two that could. I don't see any other 0-2 team making a playoff run. The Vikings possibly, but I don't know. Their offensive line is bad, and their defense is eh. So with that being said, I'm going to head on out. Subscribe, like, comment your thoughts on anything we discussed here tonight, and enjoy football. Enjoy fall. Enjoy your pumpkin spice. Enjoy whatever you do in the fall. Fly, Eagles, fly. We are Penn State. Arrivederci.